Good evening, students. Go ahead and open up to your table of contents, and we are going to enter our next topic. Remember, it's going to be on the next odd page of your book. So for Miss Reddick, it's going to be page 7. And we are converting rationals into percent form. Converting rationals into percent form. We've already looked at getting them into decimal form. Yesterday we looked at putting them into fraction form. And today we're going to put them into percents. You can pause if you need to copy this. Go ahead and get out that one last third, that piece of paper. We started with it a couple of days ago. Just like we did yesterday and the day before, we're going to fold it in half. Make that bold line down the middle. That separates your conversions. And fold each side in. You'll have that book just like you had for the last 2 days. We're going to do a conversion on each side and write the how in the middle. Okay? Now open up your interactive notebook to the correct page. For me, it's page 7. And we're going to copy down the title, excuse me, which is Changing Rationals into Percent Form. Changing rationals into percent form. Leave a space for your essential question. And again, this is so important that this is the 3rd day I'm making you write it. From 6th grade, we know that a fraction, a decimal, and a percent are nothing more than different forms of the same thing, just like water, ice, and steam. Okay? From 6th grade, I want you to know that a fraction, a decimal, and a percent are different forms of the same thing. If you need to pause to copy this, you may. Okay, we're going to go ahead and write our notes. Just like yesterday, we have a conversion on each side. On the left side, I want you to write change a decimal into a percent. We've already looked at how to make a percent into a decimal. Today we're looking at how to make a decimal into a percent. And on the right side, I want you to write change a fraction into a percent. Changing a fraction into a percent. Take a second to copy that if you need to pause your video. Okay, changing a decimal into a percent. You multiply by 100. Remember when we changed a percent into a decimal, we divided by 100? Well, now, since we're making a decimal into a percent, we're multiplying by 100. Remember your powers of 10. To multiply by 100, all you do is move the decimal to the right. You're just undoing the other conversion. Okay? Dr. Pepper is still the little trick, I guess, that you can remember in your head. You're taking the decimal point, you're moving it 2 times to the right because that's how you multiply by 100. You can copy that if you need to, and then let's look at some examples. 13/100ths, written as 0.13. When I want to make it into a percent, I'm multiplying by 100. So I'm going to take the decimal and move it 2 times to the right. So 13/100ths is the same as 13%. Let's look at the next one. 1 and 15/100ths, so 1.15. I want to make that into a percent, so I've got my decimal. I'm going to move it 2 times to the right. 1, 2. And that leaves me with 115%. Yes, your percent can be greater than 100 if you start with a number bigger than 1, okay? If your number has a whole number in it, your percent is going to be greater than 100. Let's look at the last one. 0.06 or 6/100ths into a percent. I'm moving my decimal point 1, 2 times to the right, which gives me 6%. Notice it's not 60% because the 0 falls before the 6. It just kind of goes away. Okay, changing a fraction into a percent. When you want to change a fraction into a percent, you're making equal fractions with a denominator of 100. You're making equivalent fractions, okay? There's another way to do it down at the bottom. Leave some space for examples if you want to go ahead and copy that at the bottom. If there's not an easy way to get that denominator to 100, you can always just change your fraction into a decimal and then change your decimal to a percent. It's like using a middleman in baseball, okay? You can just use that decimal as your middleman. But if we want to go from a fraction directly to a percent, we need a fraction with the denominator of 100. Remember, because percent is out of 100. So I'm looking at this thinking, okay, 4 times something has to get me 100. What could that be? Well, I know there's 4 quarters and a dollar is 100 cents, and a quarter is 25 cents, so 4 times 25 is going to get me 100. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 1 times 25 is 25. 25 out of 100 means that this is 25%. Remember, because percent is out of 100. If you can get this fraction to be something over 100, then this numerator is your percent. Let's try one more. 2/5 equals something over 100. I don't know what that something is. 5 times what will give me 100? I'm thinking to myself, 5 times 20 is going to get me 100. So I have to do 2 times 20 to get the numerator. Well, excuse me. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 times 20 must be 40. 40 out of 100 means that 40%. Remember, you can always just change it to a decimal and then change it to a percent. And honestly, that's what I recommend if you don't see a quick, easy relationship to 100. Now, if your denominator is 25, or if your denominator is 10, go ahead and make an equivalent fraction. But if your denominator is something like 17 or 7, change that to a decimal and then convert your decimal into a percent. Okay, go ahead and put glue on the back side, just like we've done the last couple of days. And we're going to glue our foldable into the book underneath where it says how to. So now we have how to change a decimal into a percent and the information, how to change a fraction into a percent and the information.